Chinese President Xi Jinping is outlining his vision for greater cooperation with Arab states during his speech to leaders from Egypt, the UAE, Bahrain, and Tunisia. Xi also reiterated Beijing firmly supports the establishment of an independent state of Palestine. For more, let's bring in our Middle East economics reporter, Abeer Omar. Great to have you with us. It looks like there are so many lines of conversations taking place between China and many of these Arab leaders, be they political but also economic as well. And I think it should be pointed out that people probably forget this or don't realize this, but China imports about 1/3 of their oil from the region. So there is an economic incentive to have these discussions.
Yeah, good morning, Joumanna. So yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. The story that we had this morning was that the president sort of outlined what he wants from the region, Arab countries, and the topics were about finance and technology. Now, I really want to bring in the term soft power, and this is exactly what China has been doing in the region for the past few years. But we saw that come about last year with the Iran-Saudi broker deal, right? So that was their first step in diplomacy, but then we're seeing a lot of Chinese investments. And speaking about energy, as you just said, UBS estimates that in the coming period, energy-related trade could come to about $400 billion from this new relationship between Middle Eastern countries and China, essentially. So yeah, I mean, tech, finance, we see a lot of Chinese companies, a lot of Chinese banks coming to Dubai, for example. Lenovo had a deal with the PIF with a $2 billion convertible bond. So, a lot of Chinese interest.
Yeah, we spoke about that yesterday with our colleague Matthew Martin. Very interesting that PIF actually did buy into that $2 billion deal of Lenovo. But look, it does come with some risks as well. And let's not forget that this region, Middle East, is somewhat in the middle. Geopolitically, also geographically, between the U.S. and China. And there has been a big ambition to amplify some of the investments into tech and into AI. And I think a very good example of the region getting caught in those crosswinds is what happened with G42 and the fact that they had to divest away from China in order to secure the investments from Microsoft. That's an interesting story. And how do you think it is playing in and being factored into the discussions right now between the UAE and China, for example?
I mean, you're absolutely right. That deal was, you just took the words right out of my mouth. That deal really does materialize what the Middle East and China are getting in these crossfires. So this deal that happened, the UAE divesting away from China and a month later saying that they're going to have Microsoft invest or sit in the board of G42 really shows that the UAE had to pick a side when it came to this specific industry. But as you said, geopolitics are at the heart of the game. The war, President Xi did say that the war must not continue indefinitely, but also global trade tensions, right? We know that the U.S., the Biden administration is going to impose hundreds of tariffs on Chinese goods, and so will the EU, where, it will probably impose levies on the EV industry in China. So all of that comes, to these risks that that could come in front of this new relationship between Middle Eastern countries and China.